Welcome back to The Truth with Trinity, and I am your host, Trinity. And if this is your first time tuning into the podcast, welcome. Here, I talk about issues that happen within the black community, hopefully for resolution purposes and for food for thought to at least go about your daily way. So, I want to jump right in to today's topic, which is the emasculation of black men, the right to be a man. So I wanted to start off with a little story. So just a few hours ago, I was on live chat with two different brothers. One brother, young brother, he mentioned a scenario where he was at home, his girlfriend was at work, and she was placing all these demands on him, like, for example, you better have my food cooked, the house better be cleaned, really talking to him, as he perceived less than a man, okay? So he even went as far as to say that she had said something, I guess, derogatory toward him before she hung up while she was on break at work and he was at home, okay? So then, scenario B, I talked to another brother, and he said, hey, there are sure a lot of women on the workforce, and there's not a lot of men, a lot of black men. Okay, so those two points I want to bring up, which leads me into the topic. Okay, so first I want to go throughout history, go back in history, because I am a firm believer. If you do not know your history, you are bound to repeat it, and history will repeat itself, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, so let's go back to slavery. Okay, and even though our history goes far beyond, the confines of slavery, but this is our history in America. I would say, when we landed over here. Okay, so you've got the black man as a slave, along with black women on a plantation that is owned by a white man, and so everything that he came up with, any new creation or invention, those rights went to the slave master. Okay, not only creations and inventions, skills, his women, his children, and along with himself and his first and last name, all belong to the slave master. So there's a history of emasculation, along with, of course, physical castration of the male genitalia, and lynchings, whippings, burnings, things of that nature. So we've got that, and then also how black men were emasculated back then were the rapings of black women. So that's very emasculating for any race of man to see your woman be raped and be forced not to do anything about it, being held at gunpoint, things of that nature. So you're forced to have to watch your woman, be destroyed physically and emotionally and spiritually and not be able to do anything about it. Your children being sold off for all sorts of reasons and not being able to do anything about it. Being beaten in front of your significant other. Your wife being sold off to another plantation. Your wife having children for the slave master and anyone else she was pregnant by during those times. So those are all the ways and many more that black men were, emasculated back during slavery times. So then we speed it up to now. Throughout the years, we're in 2020. I hear a lot of brothers complaining about, they're not being handed jobs. Okay, or even if they do have a college education or they do have a skill set level, they're not being, offered the position. Okay, and that's done purposefully a lot of times, because of the fact that, hey, that's what keeps the whole dysfunction between black people going on one aspect. Because as we all know, no matter what race or culture you are from, Chinese, Indonesian, Arabian, black, white, whatever, your race is or wherever country you're from, it is hard for a man to gain respect who cannot provide for his family and his children. Okay? And, the system knows this. So, of course, they want to keep you, from out of your job or from getting a job so it can cause more, dissension in the home. Okay? So, not only that, but, my heart does go out to the black man, of course. Me being a black woman myself and, knowing bits and parts of my history and seeing, the police brutality. So, you can't fight back, but someone's able to kill you without you fighting back. That's a form of emasculation. Um, you know, Even fathers who can't see their children who may be good fathers and being penalized for it throughout the court system. That's a form of emasculation. Um, and, not being able to provide, having to live off of a woman because you can't provide your own home for yourself, less alone providing for your children and your wife. Um, that's a form of emasculation, okay? And I bring this up because there's a lot that the black man does go through in this country, and he has been going through it for hundreds and hundreds of years, okay? And the thing is, I believe that because of the black man going through these things, in this country, in this world, that they have no other place to take their frustration out. It's almost like you coming home from school or you're coming home from work and you had to keep your mouth closed at work because you had to keep your job. So you come home and you take your frustration out on your wife. The wife, kicks the kids, the kids kick the dog. So it's like a domino effect. And I question the black man sometimes, when he looks in the mirror, you know, I wonder what he sees in the mirror. Is it hard, to look at yourself sometimes? My heart really goes out. And I say that about the mirror because, there's a lot of black women complaining about the mistreatment from black men. And like I told the brother last night, I said, I believe that, that's the only place that the black man can take his frustration out on or to is the black woman and his children. Because he really can't do anything in this society without being killed. So, all the hatred and anger that he feels, it comes out on his women and children. And, I told a brother this, you live in a society that is not designed for black people. And I also said, when the U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence was written, we were slaves, you know? So, and it hasn't been re edited. So, how could the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence apply to us? How could it be about our rights as citizens when we weren't even considered human back then? So, I beg to differ. When they say that the U.S. Constitution is for everybody, I mean, how can it be if it hasn't been re-edited and it was still the same Constitution and the same wording as it was back in, 1776 or, around that time when the Declaration of Independence came to be? So that's just definitely food for thought, because when we question about, how come you can't get a job? How come, this is unfair? How come there's, police brutality? How come when we go to court, if it's two black people in court, you have a better chance of fighting, off, one charge or another or one accusation. But if you go up against a white person in court, you could have all the evidence you want, but that doesn't mean that you're going to win your case, more so. And if there's two white counterparts, they have a better chance at, one winning, or if there's a white person against a black person, they could be guilty as hell. Excuse my French. They could be guilty, but, they still win the case, being, the white counterpart, because the laws and Constitution were written to protect them. Okay? So they were not written to protect non-white people. They're written to protect them in this country. So, my suggestion is, I don't know, one day, hey, we might have to blow this joint and leave this country, because I don't know if we're ever going to, have any fair chance over here. And as I stated to the brother again, why would someone who wants to see you down and out and not be able to take care of your family and children, why would they give you a chance to do so in their society? Like I said, once again, because every race of man knows that, men, it takes more than sex just to, take care of the home. Okay, so they know that, and of course, they want to apprehend you from doing so, so that your women can look at you less, because it is not in the nature of a woman, of any woman of any color, to be submissive and be led by a man who does not know the way, who cannot provide financially, emotionally. So it's not just with finances. It's about emotional. It's about leading. It's about duty. It's about honor. Okay, so those components right there, and then a lot of our black men, they lack manhood training. Okay, they lack manhood training because there hasn't been, a tradition. Our tradition has been broken from the grandfathers and the great grandfathers, teaching black men how to be men. Okay? So a lot of that, it all is balled up into, one big problem, which hopefully, we can overcome one day. And no, it's not about hating anyone. I don't hate white people or anything like that, but I mean, the truth is what it is. And that pretty much wraps it up for this segment. Knowledge is power. And it's been a pleasure speaking with you all. If you all would like to contact me, you can at the truth with Trinity at gmail.com. Peace and blessings.